No shortage of weather going on. It is truly the heart of winter as the cold continues, and a little keyword busy is a good describer. So we'll get to a couple of storms that are going to come through over the next couple of days or so, and then another storm over the weekend. So it's a jam-packed next week. So we'll break all that down here. Let's get right to it. Bringing up the maps, this one is the overall storm impacts over the next 3 days, and where you have any of the orange colors and any of those red dots, that's where the most significant impacts will be. So this isn't a storm of the decade, but it's a pretty potent winter storm. For some, the biggest winter storm of the season. Chicago, you haven't hardly seen anything. A lot of Michigan hasn't seen snow totals like this outside of the snow belt. So that's going to definitely be indicative of that pattern going forward over the next little bit. This is a big storm for the DC area as well. So visible satellite over the last several hours going through the overnight into the morning hours here on your Tuesday. System is definitely gaining strength towards the south. We are going to continue to see that trend. And we got a little flurries, light snow showers moving in across Michigan right now at this point, as cold front has now moved through the greater Cleveland area, drifting off towards the south. And then there's the snow trying to get in towards the mid-Atlantic into the nation's capital, as you could see there, filling in towards the south around the Richmond area, and then to the west into Kentucky and portions of West Virginia as well. So we'll see that continue to spread on through. It's going to be a mix into the Richmond area. It'll be heavy snow moving into the DC area, lighter snow into southern Pennsylvania, and then this is going to slide across Baltimore, across New Jersey, a few inches on the way there. New York City getting impacted at least a little bit, not significant. That system moves on out, and then it's our next system right on the heels. This is a panhandle hook system coming out of the Oklahoma-Texas panhandles, picking up the Gulf Coast moisture, moving off towards the northeast, impacting by early to mid-afternoon Chicago, Milwaukee, and we're going to get some more moderate snow in towards that area at that point and start getting some light snow into Michigan, and then moderate snow as we go on through portions of the early evening, changing into some heavy snow in those darker blues, Chicago, Fort Wayne, up into Flint, even into the Detroit metro area, some more moderate to heavy snow with the icing up north of Indy into maybe Toledo, into Cleveland at times, and then we get this warmer push of warm air, kind of that warm nose, as we like to refer to it as, and that will help push in rain into like Akron and Cleveland and Pittsburgh, but some moderate to heavy snowfall through the evening hours as we go in towards, again, kind of that Toledo area, Detroit, Flint, coming out of portions of Muskegon and Grand Rapids, and into the overnight hours becoming more scattered. Still warmer air on the southern side of that system into like Philadelphia then at that point, but you got more snow in towards upstate New York, then mixing and turning that wintry mix, and then that gets kind of that warmer push, and the heavier snow moves into like Montreal and into portions of Maine with some lake effect snow back behind it. It's not going to be a big deal, might put down a coating to an inch, and then because they keep on coming. Valentine's evening looking generally okay. I think east of Chicago, but then we'll get the snow into the Chicago area, and by the later night hours and then into early Saturday, you're getting the snow across portions of the Great Lakes. There might be enough cold air where this could actually be a snow system for northern Ohio and northern Pennsylvania. We'll see. It's going to really depend on the track. And then that will move on through during the course of Saturday. That's going to back build. That could be some significant snowfall over the weekend, depending on if things come together. And there's just going to be a lot of moisture with this. Models are starting to pick up on this being a bigger deal snow, even into the interior northeast. So this is just kind of to show you the energy aloft in the atmosphere, that spin, that vorticity, multiple different systems every couple days to every few days. And some of these are going to be more just kind of minor to more typical, and then some of these are more moderate to even potentially major, as you could see some of these really wrap around pretty decently over the next 10 days. And just kind of another way to show that, look at the jet stream, how strong and potent this is. This is the February and January level cold with a March active pattern, because you got the warm air and the moisture source to the south. You got all the cold air coming in from the north. It's a busy day in the Weather Center. Lots of emails coming in, lots of support calls and texts. Look at that as you go through the next week to 10 days, all these troughs, all these very strong jet streams that are going to continue to push on through. This is a dynamic pattern. It's a pattern we might only see once every 3 to 5 years or so. It doesn't mean it's crazy unheard of, but yeah, definitely a little bit more on the rare side. So it's a wet pattern, I think, across our whole area over the next week to really 2 weeks. And it's just a super duper cold pattern as well. We're looking at widespread below average, but probably more significant cold next week. Across portions of the Midwest into the Great Lakes, even into the Northeast. So, whew, that was a lot. But yeah, some significant snowfall certainly happening. And I realized that I didn't, for whatever reason, show the snow totals. So we got to do that. Let me pull up that proper graphic to be able to show you that, because that's certainly important. Absolutely. I'm going to showcase that here right now. So this is across portions of our nation's capital, missing to the south on the extreme heavier snow, but there's going to be a lot of mixing, I think, in there too. But a pretty good bet at a half a foot of snow in a lot of spots around DC, cutting off much less to the north. And then comes our next system that moves on in through Chicago, across western Michigan, into Toledo, in towards Lafayette. And that's going to be a nice corridor of, I think, a widespread 6 inches. But I think a lot of the area is going to see 8 in that. There will be some spots, maybe 10 to 12, but I don't think this is going to get crazy out of hand. 8 to 10 inches look to be generally kind of a common number in some spots where you see some of those darker blues, and then you notice a lot more towards like Montreal. And then comes the next system as we go on in towards the weekend. And depending on the track, that could be 5 to 10 inches or more. Again, there's going to be probably a little layer of some icing. There's going to be probably a significant amount of heavy snow on that northern side. And then on the rain side of things, definitely less. But this is going to be a busy, very active pattern. For sure. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it. We'll keep you updated. Take care.